Alright guys, another day and we are back for some more Championship transfer rumours. We've got a lot to go through in today's video. As always, drop your thoughts in the comments down below. What have you made of your side's transfer activity so far? And if you've seen any other rumours going around that we don't mention today, make sure to comment them. But without any further ado, let's jump in. So as of recording, the rumours are swirling that Rob Edwards has left Luton Town. Now, like I say, as of recording, this one hasn't been officially confirmed. By the time you guys are watching this, it might have been. But the rumours are quite strong right now. And honestly, this one wouldn't come as a massive surprise, obviously. On the back of that result on Monday night where Luton lost again against QPR, means they're just 2 points above the relegation zone right now. They've only won 2 of their last 10 matches, and honestly, it feels like we've had a big enough sample size of matches this season. You know, we're 26 games into this Championship campaign now where I'm struggling to see Edwards turning things around, and there is a real possibility for Luton to be relegated this season, which, I mean, given the expectations at Luton before a ball had been kicked, that would be absolutely disastrous. Luton fans, I'd welcome your take on this one in the comments down below, and if this Edward news is confirmed about him leaving, who would you like to see coming in and replacing him? And one of the done deals we didn't discuss from last time was Ollie Romney signing for Oxford United on a permanent basis. The forward's coming over from the Eredivisie and has joined Oxford for what's believed to be a club record fee. The 24-year-old scored a couple of goals in the Eredivisie in the first half of this season and has now signed for Oxford on a long-term deal. So he's definitely one to watch out for the remainder of this season. We'll hopefully give Oxford a bit more firepower in the final third. But now, without any further ado, let's jump into these transfer rumours. So we'll start out with a bit of news on Romain Esse. We've discussed the Millwall playmaker quite a bit in recent weeks, and it's since transpired that Crystal Palace have made contact with Millwall over the possibility of a January deal. Now, there's quite a bit of background info that sort of goes into this deal really. Prior to the January window opening, Crystal Palace had been heavily linked with the move for Esse. It's clear that he's a player they rate quite highly. Now, last time we were speaking about how Palace were prepared to wait until the summer before going all in for the Millwall youngster. Well, it's since come out that Palace sensed that there's a bit of competition to sign him, and so in order to not miss out, they could be pushed to move for him in the January window instead. Now, this deal could work out in a number of different ways. If Palace do sign him in January, for example, the idea has been floated that they could potentially send him back out on loan for Millwall for the second half of the campaign, but that's all speculation at the moment. One way or another, it does seem like Esse's long-term future probably is going to be in the Premier League, and with Palace stepping up their efforts to sign him over the coming days, he's definitely one to keep your eye on. Watford fans, I'd be interested to get your verdict on this one. Ryan Porteous is reportedly unhappy at the club and is looking for a January exit. Now, on the back of that, we've had Hull City reportedly lodging an offer for the Scottish defender, but they face interest from other clubs such as Rangers, who are also said to be sniffing around a potential deal. Now, from a Watford perspective, the defender is under contract with the club until 2027. So far this season, he started in 16 matches. But when you get someone who is reportedly unhappy at the club and pushing for a move, more than likely something will go through. Whether or not he ends up at Hull, though, we'll have to wait and see. Both West Brom and Luton Town have been given permission to speak to Isaiah Jones. Obviously, earlier on this month, it was revealed that Jones was looking for a route out of Middlesbrough, and it now seems like West Brom or Luton will be his most likely destination, as Middlesbrough have accepted bids from both clubs believed to be in the region of around about £5 million, and that does include add-ons. Now, according to Sky Sports, out of the two clubs, West Brom and Luton, who have both been given permission to speak to the player, it seems as if Luton is the more likely destination as of recording, but that could obviously change in the coming days. Obviously, we've spoken about Jones a little bit on the channel recently with all the news that has broken out around the 25-year-old. He has had a bit of a frustrating season with Borough up until this point, only starting in 8 Championship matches. For a side like Luton, I think he would be a decent fit into that team, although with the pending departure of Rob Edwards, I suppose we'd have to wait and see who the incoming manager is and whether or not someone like Jones would fit into their plans, but definitely seems like the wheels are in motion for a deal to take place there. Sheffield United aren't messing about this January. They're now being linked with the move for Ipswich Town defender Luke Wolfenden, as Chris Wilder is looking to strengthen his backline in this January window. Now, in yesterday's video, we discussed Sheffield United quite a bit, discussed some of the latest players they're being linked with, so if you've not seen that video, make sure to go ahead and check it out. But this one I think is an interesting interesting transfer link. Defender's sort of been in and out of that starting 11 at Ipswich this season. He has made 7 starts in the Premier League. It would be a good option for the Blades to consider. He is technically out of contract with Ipswich at the end of this season, although the club do have the option to extend his deal by a further year should they choose. There are plenty of Championship clubs who are sniffing around Liverpool youngster Lewis Kumas, who's obviously currently out on loan with Stoke City. Stoke are having a potential bit of a nightmare in this January window if both Kumas and Tom Cannon end up being recalled. At the moment, it's thought the likes of Sheffield United, Watford and West Brom have all made inquiries about the Liverpool youngster, although going off the latest reports, it does seem as if Stoke are confident of keeping him on loan until at least the end of the season. But plenty of Championship clubs interested in him and Tom Cannon. Stoke will be wary of that at the moment, I'm sure. It looks as if Anis Ben-Semanni will be signing for Norwich City on a permanent basis. Obviously, he's currently out on loan at Carrow Road from Sheffield United. From Chris Wilder's perspective, he doesn't see the midfielder having a long-term future at Bramall Lane, and so Norwich have been given the green light to make this deal permanent. I think there was a clause within that loan deal where Norwich could make the deal permanent, which they are now working towards. It's believed the transfer fee will be just over £1 million. Hector Caporiano is currently being eyed up by both Plymouth and Cardiff, and quite crucially, the Peterborough midfielder is out of contract at the end of the season, so there is potential there for potentially a bit of a cut price deal to take place in January. Given this contract situation, his age as well, he's only 23 years old, you can see why there'd be a bit of Championship interest there. Portsmouth have been in talks with Newcastle for Isaac Hayden. The midfielder hasn't featured for the Magpies whatsoever this season. I was quite surprised he didn't get a move for himself in the summer transfer window, to be honest with you. Obviously, we saw him in the Championship in the second half of last season, out on loan with QPR. If he is to leave Newcastle, I think a move down to the Championship is more than likely. Obviously, someone who has struggled with injuries in recent years, but if you do manage to keep him fully fit, I think you've got a decent midfielder in the Championship there. Borough fans probably aren't enjoying the constant speculation surrounding Emmanuel Latte Lath, but Leeds United are now the latest club linked with the Middlesbrough forward, who scored 10 goals and got 2 assists so far this season in the Championship. Now, on the channel over these last few weeks, we've discussed Latte Lath quite a bit with all the Premier League clubs who have been interested. We've had the likes of Ipswich, Leicester and West Ham who are all still supposedly keeping tabs on his situation, but could Leeds United jump ahead of those potential Premier League suitors and secure a deal for themselves? He is supposedly someone who is under consideration for Leeds to sign this January, although it has to be said he'd obviously come at a premium price, especially with Borough selling to a direct rival, I suppose you could call them, in the Championship. Leeds fans, how much would you cough up for a player like Latte Lath? Burnley have supposedly shown an interest in Galatasaray defender Victor Nelson, who has fallen out of favour with the Turkish giants and is expected to leave the club this January. Now, so far this season, he's only started in 2 league matches for Galatasaray. I'm sure that's where a lot of the rumours have come from. And he's supposedly valued at around about €10 million, so Burnley would have to cough up something in that region if they want to sign him on a permanent basis. Of course, Burnley already boast the best defensive record in the Championship by quite some distance, but they're still looking to strengthen that back line, it would seem. We've also had a little bit of an update on Enzo, Lefan and Sunderland's pursuit of the Roma midfielder. If you didn't see yesterday's video, make sure to go ahead and check that one out. We spoke about this rumour a little bit in that one as well, but since that point we have had a bit of an update. It's not just Sunderland who are keen on the Roma midfielder. You've also got the likes of Sevilla and Real Betis who have also been linked, although it is believed that Sunderland currently lead the race to sign it. Now, in terms of how this deal would work, it's looking more than likely that Sunderland are going to push for a loan with the option to buy at the end of the season, with it seeming more than likely that that option to buy would be dependent on whether or not Sunderland win promotion to the Premier League at the end of the campaign. It's worth noting that Roma did pay £19 million for him only in the summer transfer window just gone by, so imagine there would be a pretty hefty transfer fee involved if he was to get signed for Sunderland on a permanent basis. Wycombe defender Joe Lowe continuing to be linked with the Championship, with Preston and Plymouth both still supposedly keen, but it does seem like Swansea are the most interested right now. The Swans have already seen one bid rejected by Wycombe. They've since gone in with a revised offer in the hopes to beat off this championship competition they face to sign the defender. But as of recording, we don't have confirmation whether or not that bid has been accepted or not. We had a bit of an update on side Benrahma as well. Earlier in this transfer window, Burnley were linked with the former Brentford winger who's currently out of favour at Lyon. Well, the club from Saudi Arabia has since come in with a loan to buy offer for Benrahma, but that has been rejected by both the player and Lyon. Whether or not someone like Burnley goes in for him with a proper bid in January, though, we'll have to wait and see. Cardiff have been in talks with Peterborough over a deal for Ricky J. Jones. He definitely had a bit more pace to that front line at Cardiff, which is desperately lacking a little bit of electricity, I think it's fair to say, in the final third in League One so far this season. The forward's got 6 goals and 3 assists. Now, he's in an interesting position with Peterborough right now. His contract is set to expire at the end of the season, but due to his age, if he was to leave Peterborough on a free transfer, let's say at the end of the campaign, Posh would be due some compensation because of his age. So he's someone Cardiff are going after right now, but I mean, we've spoken about him quite a few times on the channel in recent years. He's consistently been linked with a move to the Championship, but I think that'd be a good deal for Cardiff if they pulled it off. Nottingham Forest defender Willy Bolly is attracting a bit of Championship interest right now, with both Millwall and Hull City said to be interested in the experienced defender who is out of contract at the end of the season, although Forest do have the option to extend his contract by a further year should they choose. Now, the 33-year-old hasn't really played that much Premier League football so far this season. He's only started in 1 league match for Forest, who are obviously flying high in the Premier League right now. He's come off the bench on 3 occasions as well. I think he'd be a good option for a number of Championship clubs if Forest were willing to sanction a deal there. But guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and get all your thoughts on the latest transfer speculation in the comments down below. Other than that though, guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.